Hi there, I'm Mitch Laurance. Glad you're with us on Golf Newsnet. Those of you that are fans of Golf Newsnet, and I know you are, you may be familiar with my voice from the podcast that I do with my partner Darin Bunch called Talking Golf Getaways. We talk about golf, we talk about travel, we talk about destinations and great resorts, food, the lifestyle of golfers when they travel. One thing that Darin and I do not talk about on our show is golf equipment. And there's two very good reasons for it. One, our great partner Ryan Ballingy here on Golf Newsnet does a great job of bringing you the latest and greatest in equipment and modern technology. And the other is that Darin and I are both hickory-only players. We play with these 100-year-old beauties and absolutely love them. But I wanted to talk to you about something today that's kind of unusual for me. I'm stepping into this golf equipment space for a very good reason, I think. I was having a conversation with Darin about our hickory clubs and the hickory game. And one of the things we were talking about, I said to him, having some challenges with my game. I was going through a rough period, as all golfers do. And the problem with hickories when you're going through that period, not a problem, but a challenge, is that the clubs themselves are so unforgiving. The sweet spot on the clubs, about the size of this nail. So when you get in a little bit of a rut, it's hard to get it back. You do, and you play through it, but it can take a while. So Darin said to me that what he does, he said, I take my modern clubs, I go out to the range, play a few rounds with the modern clubs, get the forgiveness of the clubs, start to feel the swing again, and then I go back to my hickories. And I said, that's a great idea. The only problem for me is I don't have a set of modern clubs. I gave them up about 8 years ago when I started playing hickories only. And I've hit them on and off, but I don't really have a set. The more I thought about what Darin said, the more I realized that it wasn't a bad idea. And it reminded me of a great meeting that I had, an initial meeting that I had with a couple of guys a few years ago, Dean Knuth and Steve Tratner of High Heat Golf. I met them at an International Network of Golf conference. They were demoing these clubs out on the range and letting people try them. And all the reviews I heard of them were phenomenal. I, of course, at the time wasn't interested because I didn't really care about modern technology and the modern game because I was playing hickories. I loved meeting Dean and Steve, but that was the extent of it. And I would see them over the next few years and always talk to them. But until this moment, I wasn't really interested in having a set of high heat, the driver, fairway metals, and a hybrid. So at this point I said, well, I'm going to call them. And I did, and I talked to them, and I said, I have this challenge with the hickory clubs, and they, being the kind and gracious guys that they are, they said, we can help you out. So that was my first introduction to actually playing with high heat clubs, and it's why I'm talking to you today. This is the High Heat 257 Plus beauty that I got from Dean and Steve. And I'll give you a little quick story of my first real experience playing the high heat driver and the fairway clubs and the hybrids. There's a golf tournament here in Myrtle Beach called the World Amateur Handicap Championship. It happens at the end of August every year. And I played in it this year, and I decided to do something different. Before I'd played in it with my hickory clubs. This time, the first round I played with my hickories. And the next 3 rounds I played with these high heat clubs. And the first couple rounds, I hit some great drives, but I didn't really have the feel of this club and the others. Going from hickory to modern clubs and the technology is a really different game. The 4th round, on the driving range, I started to feel a little something with the clubs, and I made a couple of adjustments. And all of a sudden, my drives with this club started having a completely different pattern. The normal pattern that I have when I mishit a driver or a fairway wood is that it goes up, goes right, and keeps going right. And I know a lot of you have the same issue. But once I started really kind of focusing on not forcing this club to do anything, just letting it do what it does, I realized that that pattern was changing. I would still hit the ball when I missed it. I would still hit it up and to the right. But instead of it continuing to go way right, it got up in the air, stayed up in the air, and almost stopped that big fade slice motion and kind of just kept going straighter. I really started feeling it on the driving range. I went out and hit 12 of 14 fairways. Mostly, I'm sure, due to the confidence I had, but also these great clubs. I finished 5th in a division of 41 players at the World Am, and I was thrilled. And that's the reason I wanted to talk to you about the high heat clubs today. I'll give you a quick bit of background on Dean Knuth. You can find out everything about Dean and Steve and the high heat clubs. Their website is knuthgolf.com, K-N-U-T-H golf.com. And also on a great interview that we've put up that Ryan Ballingy did with Dean. And you can learn a lot more about the technological aspects of the club and Dean's history. But what I will share with you, and what I knew having met Dean before, is that Dean is passionate about amateur golfers. That has been his driving force over the last part of his career. Started out early, great technology mind, worked for the Navy, did a lot of technological stuff, got into golf, worked at the USGA for 16 years as a senior director. And during that time, he really focused in on the amateur golfers. You may not know Dean's name, but every time you go to a golf course and pick up a scorecard, Dean is with you because he was known as the Pope of Slope, and he created the rating and slope system that we all use to try to get the most enjoyment out of the game. You pick the right set of tees based on your handicap, and you go out and you have a better experience. And that was Dean's driving force. When he left the USGA, he decided to keep that passion and start making clubs for amateur golfers. And there's a really big difference between all the clubs that we see every weekend that the tour pros use, and they're great. I'm not saying that they're not, but there's one big difference between those clubs and these clubs. Those clubs are designed for tour pros. They want us to see them on TV, go out and buy them. Sure, they think about amateur golfers, but the whole process is different. Mostly because tour pros hit the ball right here in the center of the club face a whole lot more than amateur golfers do. Their swing speeds are vastly greater than ours, so the club and the ball produces different effects. With high heat, what Dean did, and again, you can learn about the technical aspects, but the biggest innovation came after 2016 when the USGA changed their ruling about the trampoline effect on a club face. Up until that point, in the center of the club face, you could have 257, which is microseconds. 257 microseconds is the amount of time your ball stays on the club face, the trampoline effect. But what hadn't happened and changed in 2016 was that the USGA said you can now design a club where you can move that trampoline effect out to the toe and the heel. Nobody else other than Dean and high heat has taken advantage of that, and that includes all the major club manufacturers, mostly because they use steel on their face and Dean uses titanium. But that's, again, you can listen to his interview with Ryan, it'll fill you in on that aspect. What I know is that now there are 3 areas of trampoline here on the club face. This is important for you and I because more than 50% of the time, we're not hitting the center of the club face with the driver. We're hitting it out on the toe or in there on the heel. Now, with the 3 trampoline effect on the high heat club, you are getting the kind of forgiveness and trampoline effect out here that will help you and certainly has helped me in really obvious ways. When your ball leaves the club face now, instead of, as I said, it making all these big moves at the end and just going way left, way right, the trampoline effect here will give you more forgiveness out in the areas of the club where we miss it. Straighter drives, more accuracy, obviously more speed coming off that club face, all the things that amateur golfers really need when they use these clubs. This is the driver, and I absolutely love it. I'll give you a quick glimpse of the fairway wood, the fairway metal, not a wood, obviously, a hickory player knows that, but the fairway metal. Beautifully designed clubs, great shafts. I have a Fujikura Pro in my driver and in the hybrid, and an Aldila shaft in the 3 metal. And this club, this 3 hybrid, I have to tell you, it literally changed my game. These certainly do. This one you'll absolutely love. All those long shots into greens, the same effect. The ball stays in the air longer, it goes higher. And again, on the off-center mishits that you and I have, especially with these clubs because they're smaller, the results are just astounding. So bottom line, this is a great process that Dean and Steve have created. You go to knuthgolf.com, K-N-U-T-H golf.com, and the entire process is done online. There is a really extensive group of questions that they will ask you about your game, and I mean really detailed, so that they can help you figure out what shaft you need, what loft you need on the clubs, the best possible combinations for you to get the high heat clubs. And if you're worried about doing it online, don't be, because they have a great 30-day full refund money back guarantee if you're not happy. But trust me when I say, and the reason I'm passionate about this and stepping out this way about modern clubs, which for me is very unusual, is because I know both Dean and Steve, and now I know the clubs too. But the foundation of what Dean and Steve have done at high heat is all about you, about their passion for the game, and about helping amateur golfers. And I can say that from the heart. Now that I've experienced what the clubs really are all about, I can share this information with you in full knowledge and feeling really good about it. So you go to the website. Here's another great deal for you. Go to the website. When you fill out all these questions on the Order Now part of the website, there'll be a place where it says, how did you hear about us? When you click in there, you go down to Golf News Net, you click that button, and you'll get 15% off these clubs. That's the kind of commitment that Dean and Steve have, and I'm really thrilled that they've been able to share that part of it with you, and thrilled that they're making these clubs. You will be too. Knuthgolf.com. Go get you some high heat. Literally, it will change your game.